Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 20 of the Nosebleeds section podcast. Yes, we have reached episode 20. My name is Nick alongside my co-host Thomas, and just a disclaimer for some of the topics we are going to talk about today. We are recording this right after the 4 o'clock games on Sunday, so the 8 o'clock kickoff has not happened. We watched the 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clock kickoffs, so some of those topics, especially our first topic, will be talked about, but that is just a disclaimer. So we do not know anything that happens about the Sunday or Monday night games. We'll probably make our picks on who we think is going to win. But the first topic I do want to talk about, mainly because we talked about it last episode, and it was one of the, maybe not bigger topics, but so last episode we talked about the rookies and how, with it being week 1, we talked about, or at least I stated, that I thought Justin Herbert and Tua Tagovailoa were going to start. It was kind of known that Joey B was going to start. I didn't think there was any question around that. I said that they were going to start. Neither of them started. And it was kind of clear that neither of them were really going to get in to a game until middle of the year, maybe. Maybe not at all. But game time decision. Tyrod Taylor, quarterback for the Chargers, has chest pains. Isn't able to play, and Justin Herbert steps in. Now, before you even get into stats or anything, what are you thinking here? Because I've been high on Justin Herbert ever since he got drafted. I was high on Justin Herbert before he even got drafted. I think he's a very good quarterback, and in my opinion, I think he showed it today. What do you think? Like, how do you think he did in terms of maybe other quarterbacks and how they played? How he is in compared to Joey B? Because obviously we haven't seen Tua yet. Both quarterbacks drafted above him. But do you compare him to Joey B, other quarterbacks, how is he done?
I feel like going against a very, very talented Chiefs defense. Obviously they have some injuries, but that's still a defense that was able to win a Super Bowl, able to stop dynamic offenses throughout all of last season, and not many changes have happened. And for them to be, pretty dominant against Houston in week 1, and then you see a quarterback literally named like last second against the Chiefs. I feel like I wasn't really expecting much. I'm glad for him. Like, I know you love him. I think he is a good quarterback. I always feel like rookies get benched early on. Not benched, but they sit on the bench to, learn the coattails. So for him to get thrown in, I wasn't expecting much. And then he goes down there the first drive, and he just looks incredible. Like, right off the bat, you could tell he was comfortable. He had the talent. He was able to read the defense and figure out where he wanted to go with the ball before he even snapped it, which you don't see a lot for rookie quarterbacks. I think Joe Burrow even struggles with that, but he also has offensive line issues, so that could be another thing. So just to see how talented he was, he showed that he was worthy of that number 5 or number 6 pick. I'm sorry. He was a lot of people's like 4th or 5th quarterback. I even said this when he was drafted. People thought Jordan Love was better than him, and I mean, right now he looks like, we haven't seen Tua, but he looks just as good as Joe Burrow has in his first 2 games. But I want to ask.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, do you think if Tyrod Taylor gets healthy, because he missed a couple practices, do you think Joe Burrow still, Justin Herbert still gets to start over him, or do you think they go back to Tyrod?
Now, I was actually going to ask this at the end, what you thought, but to come into a game, more or less everything prep up to this, he's obviously not really doing anything with the starters, because the starters are getting prepped up for this weekend.
Yeah.
He's kind of coming in knowing he's like on the bench. He's just kind of taking in everything that he can take in, especially playing against the Chiefs, probably the best team in the NFL at the moment. I mean, you could argue the Ravens, but I mean, coming off a Super Bowl win, they're 2-0. Like they're a very, very good team. I think he really he balled out today. He threw for over 300 yards. He outthrew Mahomes, like yard-wise. Threw for a touchdown, ran for a touchdown. I would argue he made a lot of rookie mistakes.
Definitely.
He's a big guy, and don't get me wrong, but as a quarterback, you should not be. I mean, he's just gave it everything he had in his first outing, which is great. But he's trying to like rush for a couple extra yards just instead of going for the first down, or trying to go for the big play instead of just taking a couple yards and sliding. But again, his first game. I mean, you could imagine how the nerves were his first couple drives, but his first drive straight down, he just runs to the end zone, rushing TD against the Chiefs. And not only it's not like he just like stopped. Like Joe Burrow did that week 1. He rushed for a touchdown, and I feel like it was kind of stale. And then he rushed his team down the field in the fourth quarter to almost give them the win. Missed field goal, probably the worst cramp in history. But like he at the very beginning of the game, he was solid. I wouldn't say he really struggled, but he wasn't like as consistent. But again, it's Joey B's first start last week. Brings him down the field. I felt Justin Herbert was on top of the entire game today. Obviously, he had those little mistakes, those little lapses, but I feel like that's going to happen with a first-year quarterback coming in against the best team in the NFL. Like, it's not like he came in against like a weaker team. He literally came in against the best team.
Yeah.
And then he throws for over 300 yards, throws for a touchdown, rushes for a touchdown. I wouldn't even say that's a bad week. I'm thinking that's an extremely good week for the Chargers. And if you're the Chargers organization, that is the biggest upside that you could have. He steps into a role that he didn't even think he would be having this week, takes out all the nerves, and throws for over 300 yards.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't...
Go ahead.
What's up?
No, go ahead.
Even if he didn't throw for a touchdown, to throw over 300 yards against the Chargers defense, like, I would say you moved the ball around. But he threw for a touchdown. He ran for a touchdown. Like, he did stuff on the offensive end other than just throwing. Like, throwing for yards. He looked like a genuine NFL quarterback. Just a young quarterback making some rookie mistakes. Like, the interception he had, there was no need for that interception. He could have ran for the first down and just ran straight out of bounds.
Yep.
Instead of throwing that. So, it was a bad decision. Rookie decision, but I would say he earned his spot for next week. I feel like there's no reason that he should not be starting for the Chargers next week. I'm not saying what. Go.
I definitely agree with that. I feel most teams just sit their rookie not because they think he's not the better player. Because I feel like when you draft somebody in the first round that high, you always want them to be a starter in their first year at some point, usually week 1, unless you're a quarterback. And you saw he didn't have any nerves. He obviously made the rookie mistakes. But guess what? When Patrick Mahomes had his entire rookie season, that sophomore season he had, when he won the MVP, he was still making mistakes that you don't learn until you're out there. So now that he has the nerves, he understands the game, the game plan, as you could tell from today. He has proven that he's past that rookie stage and he's ready to start making those on-field mistakes that, you know what, might cost him the game, because realistically that interception set up for the Chiefs to go drive down and, you know, score the touchdown that brought them back into the game. But
yeah, and that's stuff that's going to happen as a rookie.
Exactly.
And that, like, I think for the Chiefs, or not the Chiefs, for the Chargers, it's probably the best outcome that could have happened. Because, I mean, realistically, right, you're as the Chargers front office and the coaching staff and everything, you're thinking Herbert's going to come in maybe week 8, week 9 and start to get some reps in. Unfortunately for Tyrod Taylor, he has to hop in week 2, again, against the Chiefs. It's not like he's hopping in against, I know you're going to hate me to say this, but he's not hopping in against the Jets defense at the moment.
That's fair.
And, again, no matter what, it's NFL caliber players. But hopping in against the Jets defense at this current moment compared to the Chiefs defense, which is in completely good form, and he balls out for 300 yards, throws for a touchdown, rushes for a touchdown. I know I've said that multiple times, but as you said, it was like he had no nerves coming into this. And if you're going to come in without any reps in, like, any major reps in practice, to come in and do that against one of the better teams, I feel like those nerves, like, now it's just a learning curve. Like, this is his spot 100%.
Well, unfortunately, tell you, Anthony Lynn just confirmed that if Tyrod Taylor's healthy, he is their starter next week. So, don't understand that decision, but he just made that decision to the media. So,
that's I'm not gonna like disagree, because as a coach, you want to
back your guy.
You can't just you're gonna back your guy, like you said that was your guy.
Yeah.
But you can't take away anything from what Herbert just did.
No, not at all.
And all those guys now completely respect Herbert, whether they respected him before or after, because he obviously has talent. He's obviously very skillful. He's fast. He's a very good quarterback. He is not as good at the current moment, but it's something similar to like a Patrick Mahomes, who is a tall. He's tall. He can move around in the pocket. He can eat. I mean, I feel like he easily showed it, but he can run, which makes him a dual threat quarterback because he can also throw deep. He's very accurate. There is passes that literally were pinpoint that some quarterbacks in the NFL are going to struggle to even make. Like, I feel like he really showed out. And I mean, look, if you're the Chargers head coach, you're gonna try to back Tyrod Taylor, but regardless, if Justin Herbert starts next week, it's his job. Now, if Herbert came in and he had he was a little iffy, then yeah, Tyrod Taylor starts next week. But like, dude, there's some quarterbacks that have a starting job in the NFL that aren't even throwing for over 250 yards against average teams.
Yeah.
They're not even throwing for 250 yards, let alone maybe not even throwing for a touchdown or two.
And I feel like you just put them against the Chiefs. The next 2 weeks, they play the Panthers and the Buccaneers, and they're good offenses, definitely, but both of their secondaries are their weak point. Why would you not put him in? Get him some confidence, get him going, get him in a rhythm, just setting up your future.
Confidence and reps, just reps in general.
Yeah.
Like, he literally showed today that he can compete in the NFL. And then you're not going to go play him against the Panthers, who are clearly struggling on all sides of the ball, especially with Christian McCaffrey going down now.
Yeah.
Whether that's a long-term injury or maybe it's just, I think it was an ankle sprain or something. But whether that's long-term or not that let's be real, the Chargers defense looked absolutely incredible today. Other than a couple lapses of stupid fouls that they committed, like offsides.
Yeah, and they have a lot of injuries too on their defense, on their secondary especially.
Yeah, they looked extremely good today.
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes really struggled. He struggled a lot, which I feel also helped Herbert. He had that ability to know if he had a mistake that his defense was going to be there. But personal opinion, after what Justin Herbert did today, there's no reason to not back him. There's absolutely no reason Justin Herbert, for the time being, should be your starting quarterback.
I agree.
I feel like he should have been the starter coming into week 1, but obviously, like, you're going to go with Tyrod Taylor. He's got the NFL experience.
Yeah.
You sit Herbert, you let him kind of get in, feel what it's like to be at the NFL level, see what other quarterbacks are seeing and doing. I would argue he just went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes is worth $500 million.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's as talented or deserves $500 million. He definitely has not even shown that yet. But he just went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, who is worth that. And I would say he did everything on each side of the ball, because there's still some quarterbacks that are not dual-threat quarterbacks that are not able to get out of the pocket as well as Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert's not even the best one. Like, I mean, I would say Patrick Mahomes is better than him at, like, getting out of the pocket. Obviously, like, overall, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes no matter what. But getting out of the pocket, like, Patrick Mahomes is way better. Lamar Jackson, the best in the NFL. Russell Wilson. I think Dak Prescott's pretty good at getting out of the pocket. Baker Mayfield recently, this week, showed his extreme talent to get out of the pocket. But, I mean, other than that, are there many other quarterbacks? I think Sam Darnold showed that today a little bit, but
that man has to run for his life.
That's a whole different story, because that offensive line is a mess, and so is that whole coaching staff and front office and everything. But that is definitely a topic for another day, because the Jets are somewhere. Don't get me wrong. The 49ers are a very good team. They were just at the Super Bowl, but something needs to change with the Jets. They just also they don't have receivers, which definitely doesn't help. If I'm the Jets, as much as you need an offensive line, as much as that offensive line is going to help Sam Darnold, you need to get him an out-and-out playmaker. Denzel Mims has not been able to play yet. He obviously has not shown himself. If you're building the Jets organization around Sam Darnold, I say, like, if they do as bad as it looks they're going to do at the moment, I think Jamar Chase is the best pick that they can get.
Oh, 100%.
And trust me, I know that offensive line has its own issues that it really needs to work out. But
it's better than last year.
Better than last year, but still I think there's other issues that definitely need to be worked out overall in that entire offense.
Yeah.
But Sam Darnold, I still think he's a good quarterback. I'm still up on him. He made an absolutely insane throw on the run, cross-body, just absolutely insane today. But if you're looking for the future of the New York Jets, if you have Jamison Crowder, Jamar Chase, and Denzel Mims, with Sam Darnold throwing, and then maybe you try to trade for another first round pick and you grab a lineman or two in free agency as well. The Jets could be in the next 5 years within the next 5 years. I'm not going to say in 5 years times because I think Sam Darnold is a quarterback that could lead the Jets to good things. But within 5 years times could be a team competing for the East. Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. After watching this week, I mean, the Patriots haven't played yet. The Bills, I think, look very good at times, and they look horrendous at times.
Yeah, their defense struggled this week, surprisingly.
Yeah, their defense really struggled, but then their offense was absolutely insane. Josh Allen did whatever he wanted today.
Yeah.
He did whatever he wanted, and it wasn't just him throwing slant routes to Cole Beasley or him going deep to Stephon Diggs. I think he threw. I think the stat sheet literally has 8 or 9 different players catching a pass today.
Yeah.
That's
what happens when you throw for 400 yards, though.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 players. 8 players caught a pass today. 8 different players. That he was just throwing it. 8 different players, and 4 different players catching a touchdown. And look, I'm a Saints fan, but that is something that's something Drew Brees does to 4 different players in the end zone.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Saints fan, but I remember last year or 2 years ago before Drew Brees got hurt, the year before he got hurt, he would in week 1 he literally threw I think to 5 different players in the end zone, and 3 of them were rookies who have never caught a pass in the NFL before, and they're for one of them his first catch was an NFL touchdown. But I mean, Josh Allen looked extremely good. Kyler Murray looks extremely good as well.
Yeah.
Not saying week 1 was going to be a blur or anything, but he looks incredible. DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best additions to that offense that they could have added. It just gives him another step up. The Ravens looked good as usual. There's not much to say there. Broncos struggled, especially now that Drew Lock is out. This is literally the week of the injuries.
Yeah.
McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley is just a rough week in general. But talking about all these injuries, our next topic is fantasy football. Fantasy football probably one of the most widely played fantasy sports of everything. And I would argue this is one of the worst weeks for all fantasy owners across the board. Definitely. Now, my team, in one of my leagues, I had the second pick. I got Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley tore his ACL today. Extremely unfortunate. Not happy about that. My other running back, Raheem Mostert, runs for a 77-yard touchdown, then gets hurt, doesn't play the rest of the game. My 2 starting running backs just gone. Literally the week of the injuries, and it's not even just it's a lot of starters. Not even on the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball. Nick Bosa, I believe, tore his ACL as well.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you saw this. Speaking of injuries, now that we're on it, the Niners play again at MetLife Stadium next week against the Giants after playing there today, and they don't want to play apparently.
They don't want to play.
The MetLife Stadium got new turf over the season.
Yeah.
Last week when the Giants played the Steelers on Monday night, the players were complaining that this turf seems sticky almost, and they were thinking maybe it was a night game. It was a little damp out. They were thinking that was it. Same thing today. I think in total 12 players left the game on both teams between the 49ers and the Jets. I think 4 of them have season-ending injuries.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look at all.
No.
It just looked bad.
So
I mean, I didn't hear that about the turf.
Yeah.
But look, if that's an issue, there's no shot they play at Giants Stadium.
Yeah.
Or MetLife Stadium. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's bad.
12 people, and then all of last week as well, because I know the Giants had a couple injuries.
Yep.
I think since Daniel Jones has taken over as the Giants quarterback, there's been about 4 games. Or I think today. Today was the first game that the Giants had like Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Evan Ingram, like all like Slayton, like all of their like offensive like threats in a game. This is the first game they've had all of them, and I think 2 or 3 of them went down injured.
Yeah. Bad week for injuries.
Yeah, so just absolutely horrendous week for injuries. The 1 and 2 picks in most fantasy leagues gone. Like it was.
What is the severity of McCaffrey's injury? I saw he got injured. I didn't know what it was though.
That I didn't see. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
I know Saquon Barkley's probably out for the year.
Yeah, he's out for the year.
ACL. I didn't see anything on Mostert. McCaffrey. I just know he was out for the game. I don't know. I think it was an ankle injury, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
I'm honestly not like 100% on that.
And Mostert, he sprained his MCL, so he'll probably be out a couple games.
Sprains it. Yeah, he'll be out for a couple weeks. So that's lovely. Yeah, but all right. Who are your top 3 fantasy shocks, and who are your top 3 fantasy flops?
Top 3 fantasy shocks. Well, that's a good question. You never give me time about these.
I don't, and I just want you to think on your feet. But who are your fantasy shocks, and who are your fantasy flops?
All right, so definitely one right off the bat I could name is Matt Ryan. I know he's 0-2, but he threw for almost 400 yards last week, I think.
Yeah.
And then this week he goes 273 yards, 3 yards, and 4 touchdowns, and a crazy game that came down to the field goal at the end. But those 2 performances are something you don't expect when you draft Matt Ryan as your quarterback. No, I guarantee you some people had him on their bench both weeks.
Yeah, you expect him to be good, but from what he's done, just absolutely like he's been incredible.
Yeah,
he really has.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so there's one shock. Who you got? 2 more.
You got 2 more. This is hard. You can't throw me on the spot. I gotta look through some of these games now.
It's just off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head.
Just kind of like who you know has had a good week, who's had a good couple weeks. We'll do this every week.
How about DeAndre Hopkins? I know, obviously, one of the best receivers. He is getting more. He's getting more targets. Yeah, he's getting the ball in his hand way more frequently than he did in Houston, which is mind-boggling to me because the Arizona offense is like already dynamic. They have so many key pieces, and Kyler Murray. I mean, Larry Fitz is on the older end now, but like you just didn't expect him to get the ball more than he already was. I mean, he was literally the only person that got the ball really in Houston last year, and he's having an even better season.
He's having a really good year, yeah.
And then I'm gonna go with my final prediction. What am I talking about? The final one I'll have to go with is probably. I can't even think of one, to be honest. I feel like no one's really stood out so far. I feel like if you had one good week, you had a bad week. If you know what I mean. Like, you could say Clyde Edwards-Helaire after week 1. But this week, he was average, if anything. I don't even know if he did that well.
So we could base it off week by week. We could just do it weekly.
Okay. Honestly, I haven't been able to look over that many games, so I can't really give you a third player.
Hey, so who are your flops? Who was just bad, and you just they were not someone that should really be taken highly, should I say?
Tom Brady.
Okay, Tom Brady. He's been very iffy.
Very. I mean, no one expected him. I mean, obviously they won today. He had a little bit of a better performance, but he still threw an interception. He's 3 interceptions in 2 games. That's not something you expect from Tom Brady.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Saquon Barkley obviously injured today, but how many rushing yards did he even have today? He's got to be below 50 rushing yards in the season.
22, I think.
So
yeah,
he's like 28 rushing yards in the season.
Yeah, that's fair. Absolute flop. But also he did get hurt, so he wasn't able to play a majority of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fair.
And then I'm just looking at teams, trying to think of people right off the bat. I mean, how about Odell? I feel like obviously he still is struggling. He's getting more targets.
I mean,
he had 1 catch.
If we had 4.
Yeah, but the 1 catch is literally 3/4 of his yards.
Yeah, but okay, that's fair. All right. So I'll give you mine. We won't just like leave you there. So my fantasy shocks this week. I mean, I talked about it before, but I got to bring my man Justin Herbert in. 311 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown. Absolutely balled out. Next one, Josh Allen. We did talk about Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen, not only did he have a really good game, 417 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Crazy.
417 yards, 4 touchdowns. Absolutely insane. Just absolutely insane. And my last one, Kyler Murray. I think everyone knows Kyler Murray is good, but the thing is, I don't think everyone expected Kyler Murray to do the things that he's currently doing at the moment. 286 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns. Just this week, he even had a really good week last week. Those are my 3 shocks. All quarterbacks. I think quarterbacks really stepped up this week. My 3 flops. I would probably... the flops I am kind of struggling with, but I would have to say Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had 25 carries for 84 yards. Bit rough. Oh, also shocks this week. I'm adding a 4th one just because I want to. Aaron Jones.
Oh, what a stud.
Aaron Jones, everyone knows he's good. He's one of the top running backs in the league. 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he also had 4 receptions for 68 yards and a catch and a receiving touchdown.
Yeah, he was a leading runner and receiver.
Yeah, he just absolutely went off. But yeah, biggest flops this week, I would have to say Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry showed. I would say Saquon, but I can't say Saquon. He got hurt. I'm not saying that he was going to do much, but he wasn't able to do anything at all. Not that I want to... I mean, Carson Wentz is a good one, but I feel like he just struggles in general with his entire offensive line. He threw 2 picks, no touchdowns, 242 yards. Just not great overall. If you had him, it was honestly a real struggle. And my last one, I'm sorry, you're gonna hate me for it. It's not a player, just the Jets. I know you're a diehard Jet. Well, listen to me. Listen to me, all right? You're a diehard Jets fan. You come at me all the time. You always say, "Oh, by the end of this year, you're gonna be a Jets fan. By the end of this year, you're gonna be a Jets fan."
You will.
I want the Jets to do well. Trust me. I was watching the games today. Watching the Jets game today. It was on like when I was at my with a couple friends. I was hoping the Jets were doing well. It was hard to watch. I think other than the one really good play that Sam Darnold made, I wouldn't say there was anything else to even... I don't even know. Like, Sam Darnold made a really good play getting out of the pocket, an absolute dot to Braxton Berrios on the run. But other than that, they did absolutely nothing in the running game. They really couldn't do anything passing, other than like the couple times Sam Darnold was able to get out of the pocket. Overall, offense and defense, just my last flop is the Jets. If you started any of the Jets players this week, I apologize. I don't know why I'm apologizing. I feel the Jets should come out with an apology. But I know you rip on me every week. And I can't stress enough how much I want the Jets to do well and how much I've really thought this is going to be Sam Darnold's year, because he had a good year last year and he had mono for 4 weeks. So I thought like a full year without getting mono, he would just kind of explode. Clearly that hasn't happened. They've played 2 pretty decent teams. But yeah, those are my 3 shocks, or 4 shocks, my 3 flops for week 2 of the NFL season.
I'll be better next week.
I hope so. Again, we did not see the Sunday or Monday night games. Moving on to our final topic of the day, the NBA is almost over its closing. The Miami Heat have a 2-1 series lead on the Boston Celtics. The Lakers have a 1-0 series lead on the Denver Nuggets, and Game 2 of that series is going on tonight. I think the Miami Heat are the biggest shock, but the most consistent team in the playoffs. They are the most consistent team in that they just haven't given up in any game, especially in the series now. They were down in 2 games, the first 2 games of the series, to the Celtics, and they came back. Celtics struggling on, in my opinion, both sides of the ball. Very big lapses that kind of take them in and out of games. The Lakers, LeBron and AD absolutely dominated game one. Nuggets had no answer for them, winning by like 17, 20 points, something like that. But just Celtics really struggled. Give me your opinion on the Celtics. I know you're a big Celtics guy. What's going on? What is happening with the Celtics?
I feel like for both teams, the Heat and the Celtics, you have to feel confident going into the rest of the series. Obviously, the Heat have the 2-1 lead after losing. But I mean, you're still up 2-1. That's a huge advantage to have in the playoffs, obviously. And then if you're the Celtics, you have a 13-point lead in the fourth quarter in game one. You choke that. That's huge for the Heat. And then you have a 17-point lead at halftime in game two, and you lose the game also. So if you're the Celtics, you know you have the capability of getting them in a hole early. It's just you got to keep them there. And we saw them actually do that in game three. They had a huge lead, almost blew it. I think not almost blew it. It came down to like 7 points. I think it got the closest in the fourth quarter. And the Celtics just went off again. Like, when they got Gordon Hayward back, which is a huge... His stats, I think he had like 6 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds. But when you have a lineup that consists of Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Gordon Hayward...
They even got Gordon Hayward. Yeah, they got Gordon Hayward back now.
Yeah. That's 5 ball handlers. They all could bring up the ball, and you saw them do it in the fourth quarter against the Heat. It's get a rebound and run in the fast break, and you see the Celtics thrive in that because they'll either drive, they'll kick it out to any one of the 5 could shoot. I mean, Marcus Smart's been shooting lights out this series, so any 5 of them could shoot. And I feel like if I'm the Celtics, I'm confident. I know I'm down 2-1, but every game we've put them in a hole, we got another former All-Star player back. Like, I think this series is just starting. I think this is going all the way to 7 games, to be honest, but I think this is going to be so competitive. You see the team starting to get chippy. I think Jimmy Butler got hurt at the end of the last game, so I really hope he's healthy because I want to see a full-fledged Celtics versus Heat fully healthy series.
Yeah, look, I think getting Gordon Hayward back was one of the best things that could have happened to the Celtics, as it really spaced the floor for them, and it gives them another scoring threat on offense. The Heat just honestly look incredible. I feel like they've really all just kind of bought into the way Jimmy Butler wants to play, not even their coach. I feel like it's not a Jimmy Butler system, but it's a Jimmy Butler mentality. That's what they bought into. It's a very young team, and I feel like everyone down there kind of just bought into the Jimmy Butler mentality of we're dogs. We're gonna dig and we're just gonna fight until that game's over. Lose or win, we're gonna fight. Tyler Herro coming off the bench is absolutely great for the Heat. He's been extremely lights out in the playoffs, but I mean, I feel like you can't really speak enough of what Jimmy Butler has done for the Miami Heat. I feel like the Miami Heat coming into this year, not that they were going to be a bad team, but they were kind of, after Dwayne Wade retired, after LeBron left, they were kind of on the down. It was a lot of trying to fight to figure out where they were and figure out a new team identity. Once Jimmy Butler came, it's just like a snap, and everything just kind of clicked.
Mm-hmm.
I give the Heat mad props. I mean, we could talk about the other series, but if I'm going to be honest, I feel the Lakers are going to take that 4-0.
Yeah.
They looked lights out in game one. And I know we talked about it before, how LeBron and the Lakers looked a little iffy at the beginning of the series, or beginning of the playoffs, sorry. But I feel like something's like switched. Like, the Lakers look absolutely incredible. Like, they look so good. And the Nuggets, who have looked extremely good in the playoffs, had no answer to anything. Like, anything they did, just LeBron had an answer for. AD had an answer for. I don't even know if there's much to say in that series. I mean, hopefully the Nuggets can come back in Game 2, which is currently going on right now. I haven't really looked at that score. I don't want to, so that doesn't spoil anything or give any hints away on what our opinions are for maybe our next episode as we talk, because that would be in Game 4. By the time our next episode will come out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I honestly think the Lakers are going to sweep that series. They just look so good in game one. The Heat and the Celtics have been very very back and forth. I do think the Celtics could be up 3-0 at the moment.
Definitely.
But look, fair play to the Heat, just fighting back and not staying out of it. That's all I can really say on that. What are your final thoughts on anything we've really talked about today? Give me final thoughts. Episode final thoughts.
Only final thoughts is I'm just happy that we have, competitive sports back. We're finally in the Eastern Western Conference Final of the NBA. It's getting down to the wire. The teams are playing chippy. It's getting good stuff. And obviously we have football back. And football, every single play, you're fighting for your life. So I'm happy to have those two sports back.
Yeah, I honestly agree with you. I'm just really happy football's back. Soccer, Premier League has started back up. I'm very excited for that. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 20 of the Nosebleeds Section podcast. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see ya.